Welcome to the Starting Over Podcast. I'm your host, Edward Shelton, aka Dark Logos, and this is the show where we talk about the strategies, tactics, and mechanics behind the game of heroclix. Oh man, it's really, really interesting Sunday while I'm recording. Interesting weekend. Had a bunch of activities planned and a bunch of people canceled. So yeah, that's how it goes. So sometimes you on top of the game, sometimes the game's running you. So. Yeah. So today's show, we're going to go over a set review of Joker's Wild. I'm going to be honest. I have some mixed feelings with the set. And because of that, you're going to see it come in and out. I'm just trying to focus on things that you as a player need to look at. But like I said, I have some concerns. And I don't think that this set will go down positively in the history of heroclix, but I don't think that this is all trash. Okay, so let me get that out the way. If you didn't listen to last week's episode, please listen to last week's episode, and you're going to get a better understanding of why I'm saying what I'm saying. I'm not just like blah 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 yakety smackety. Here's stuff. There are some real concerns about action allocation and how teams are working together. We had great synergy in Superior Foes, but we didn't really see that in Joker's Wild. So we're going to have as many parts as it takes, but hopefully I can get this done in 2 parts. I won't have to do 3 parts. All right, so let's start off. Number 1, 45-point Joker. You might say, like, hey, why are we even talking about this? This is garbage. And for one key reason, and that reason is just the fact that he can use poison. He can use poison, or he can use it normally, or instead he can use it to deal 1 penetrating damage to 1 adjacent opposing character. Now, the fact that you can deal penetrating damage for 45 points and have Mastermind is really good. Now, is it super abusive? No, but it's actually pretty good. Batman enemy unfortunately inflates the points, but so it goes. Next up is number 2. This actually is probably one of the most important figures in the set, which is Harley Quinn. Batman enemy 25 points, 3 clicks, full dial stealth, full dial perplex. This is going to be the new Atomica. Just being honest. Now I know some people will say, but hey, Atomica was useful on, some other teams and she was able to do this and that, but Betty Brant's 15 points. Yes, Betty Brant is 15 points and she is really good support for 15 points, but she can't push and use perplex. Pure and simple. Betty Brant has a certain level of utility which is very fragile. One bad thing happens, literally one bad thing happens, your perplex is gone. Harley Quinn, on the other hand, she can push and push and push and push. If she needs to be in the position she needs to be in, chick got wheels. She can get there. Okay, so I think a lot of folks for cost effectiveness will constantly be looking at Betty Brant, but if you're talking about needing turn 1 perplex, Harley Quinn's going to be it. All right, here we go. This is another character I think that's going to add to the complexity of our theme teams. Is Joker Thug. Is Joker with a trait? The Joker is the king of Gotham. When building a force, Joker Thug does not count against theme team if your force has a character named the Joker on it. If an adjacent friendly character named the Joker would be hit by an attack, Thug may become the hit target of that attack instead, if it would be illegal. Even if it would be illegal. So we have these little bodyguards for the Joker, and we've had a bunch of cool Jokers come out. And so we're not even talking about just saying, hey man, there's Mastermind. It's like, no, this ignores Precision Strike. This allows you to say I'm going to hit all these guys. I'm going to hit the Joker with this huge single target pulse wave. Okay, cool. You hit. Was this Thug outside the pulse wave? Yeah. Okay, so here you go. All that damage goes to the Joker Thug. Thank you very much and have a good day. because the Joker Thug would be outside of the effect range, so he would still be able to use his powers. So I really think that this character in particular is going to be useful. You might not see more than 2 of them in a match, but I think there is some use for them. Winning, Rocktober with it, probably not. Doing really well at a local event, yeah, I can definitely see that. So, like I said, again, this Joker Thug, there's a lot to sort of look at. Just mainly, like I said, we have a lot of cool Jokers that have come out in this set, and giving them another level of protection. I'm not going to say it's OP, but it's definitely something to really think about, that you're just paying 10 points for another level of investment that can't be gotten around by Precision Strike. So definitely something to think about. Here we go. Just gonna keep on going. I'm gonna skip over Anarchy, because Anarchy has the ability to pretty much hurt your own team. So that's why I really don't think it's a good figure. So yeah, you can't salt your own earth. Okay. So there you go. You have Court of Owls Initiate. I like this just for the pure fact that it's set up for Mastermind, and that's it. At 10 points, it's a low investment. If it was 1 click longer and didn't have like exploit weakness, and it just had 1 more click, even if that click was like 8, 12, like the 3 movement, 8 attack, 12 defense, 1 damage, like even if it was that, I would have taken it, So anyway, next up, this really is a key figure here that I think it has a ton of potential, is the Thanagarian. And the Thanagarian has a special power that says Invasion from the Skies. Give Thanagarian a move action with a lock speed value of 3. If you do, after actions resolved, a carry character may be given a non-free action, but is only a close action. Now, a lot of people don't understand what that really sets you up for. And let me sort of put this into context, and just complete context. Let's say you have a character, they didn't attack that turn. Okay? And you're like, hey, this says, they do the action that turn. You're like, oh, okay, cool. So then you're like, well, they're biting by the Thanagarian. Okay, so I'm just going to have the Thanagarian pick them up, move them back to where they were or wherever you need them to be, then have them make a close action. Okay, and see, here's the question that I really want to see getting taken care of is, there are characters that have the ability to, attack multiple times during turn, or characters that are able to attack as a free action. This just says, if you do after action resolved, a carry character may be given a non-free action. So the one thing I wanted to hear cleared up about Thanagarian is, hey, A, does that mean that I haven't done any other non-free action that turn so I can qualify for Thanagarian? And B, is this a free action that's allowing me to do? Because if it is a free action that's allowing me to do, then, when I pick up any character after they've attacked, then I'm like, reposition them so they can punch you in the face. Also, another thing you can sort of consider is, like, if you have a melee character and they're just slightly out of range, or, you just like bloop bloop, pick them up with a Thanagarian and they smack somebody in the face. So there is something to be noted here. Again, is this going to win you Rock World Cup? Most likely not. But this is something that I do think you can be on the lookout for, in the future. All right. Next up is Commissioner Gordon, and for 30 points, I think that he is really strong. First off is his trait, Life on the Streets. When Commissioner Gordon is the only friendly character using the police team ability for an attack, modify the defense value of the target by -2 instead of 1. That is huge. That is huge. And here's why. First off, you don't really need other PD on your team. So functionally, for the cost of 30 points, you've gotten a bonus of 2 PD officers instead of 1. Okay, so that right there is the biggest thing that you can look at right there. The second, advantage is that when you start looking at his keywords, he has some decent keywords that he can work with. Not the best of the best, cream of the crop, but definitely some good ones. Batman Family gives him some good ATAs. Gotham City and Police allows him to use a GCPD ATA. So there's some good stuff there. All right, next you have Commanding Authority. Commissioner Gordon can use enhancement in leadership. He may use each only if he may use each only if no other character has used that power this turn. So that I'm not so gung-ho about, but there's some points of activation that you might want to consider. Is that if he's the first one to use enhancement and empower, does that then mean that if I have other characters later on in the turn that use enhancement and empower and other actions, would that be okay? So that's just something to think about. All right, Green Arrow. Only reason we're going to talk about him in brief is you can be used for an ID card. That's it. I mean, he could be a 10-4 or 11-3. I never see a use of a 12-2 without Precision Strike. So, yeah, right there, that's the only reason you're going to bring him in. Okay. Then you have Robin. I'm going to guess the real name is Dick Grayson, and then you can just use him for the ID cards. But if not, then it's worthless. Really. Yeah. And I know some people will say hey, he has a really, really, good ability to move on the map for free. And I do admit that, he has the potential to zip across the map, well, not all across the map, within his range and in line of fire. Zip from point to point as a free action. And then, summon, what was it? The Atom to Colossal Retaliate on somebody. So, you could do some wonky stuff with that. I prefer that just didn't happen. So, whatever. Let's keep going. Court of Owl's Assassin. Just mainly you just get another poison guy, which they're not the best of poison guys, but it's something. You have Claws of the Past. Court of Owl's Assassins can use Blaze Claw's Fangs and Stealth. Court of Owl's Assassin can use Mastermind, but only transfer damage to characters with the Court of Owl's keyword. So it's sort of a useful trait, but not the best. Oh gosh, man. Amanda Waller makes me so sad. Because, truth be told, the way leadership is set up now, having a 25-point leadership is not great. Now, if you want to look at Amanda Waller as wild card fodder, that's a different thing. But just looking at 25-point leadership, it's really not that good, considering the only things that you're really taking tokens off of is Betty Brant and the Atom. Or some other Colossal Retaliator. That's it. There's no one that's less than 25 points that's really useful in the meta that the chance of removing an action token off of is worth it. And even if I understand that I did complain, hey, we have all of these maxed out teams and stuff with a bunch of figures and not enough leadership, and yes, this helps, but putting her on any of these teams would just break theme and sort of defeating the purpose of her being there. So I really don't like Amanda Waller, but if you need cheap Suicide Squad, I have to recommend it. All right. Colonel Rick Flag Jr. can be interesting because he has the ability to technically like artificially pump his defense, but I really wouldn't depend on it. If he had better, if he had like a good defend on top of him, and yeah, he could possibly be a little bit more useful for his defense. But homie is soft, so yeah, like I don't like it. Black Lightning, roll out the Afro picks and the Sheen, man. This is the straight truth. Okay, I played him in Sealed. Great figure. 75 points in this atmosphere is a little high for 5 clicks. Just a little high. But one thing that we are getting is 2 really strong elements. Number 1, Outsiders. And people forget Outsiders works at 10 range. 10 range, line of fire. Okay. Second is that Black Lightning has an 8 base range. Okay. Not a lot of characters have a 8 base range anymore. So that really puts Black Lightning out ahead of a lot of other figures. Not only that, he has the whole arc lightning thing where he can pretty much hit you with end cap, and when he does, he can deal you 1 penetrating damage. If you look at his dial, yes, he's very front loaded on his first 2 clicks. Give you that all day, every day. He just goes down on clicks 3, 4, and 5. He's really crap. If you get super lucky on click 5 and land a hit, yeah, you're haymakering, all the way, out into the sunset. But most of all, he's not going to land that attack with the 8. I do appreciate the try, WizKids. I really do wish that, that 4 damage that he had on his last click was preferably on, the first click or even the second click, giving you some incentive to, push to your second click if you need additional damage. Because at an 8 range, he's above average. He's above average in influence. So one thing I do like about this Black Lightning is that when we look at his place in the meta, is he definitely has secured himself a spot as a secondary attacker, and if not as a secondary attacker, as a support attacker. So with his 2 clicks of enhancement. So yes, yeah, Black Lightning, flashback to the truth, soul brother. We got to fight the power. All right. Keep on moving on and getting on. We're going to look at the Batman. I'm skipping Harvey because I don't think he's good enough. Let's look at Batman number 16. There's a lot of cool things with him. I don't like the range, but he's falling in line with a lot of the other characters in this set, in ways that the game is just going in general. So I can't fault WizKids for giving him a 5 range, even though I could say like a 6 could be useful. A 7 would have been too much, but at least a 6. But hey, we have a 5. So here we go. Running shot with 10 movement. He also has improved movement, which this thing doesn't. Oh, here we go. Improved movement ignores elevated and hindering. So he can just get to wherever he needs to get. So that's a big thing. Then you can go ahead and look at his upfront 11 attack, his 18 defense, and his 3 damage leadership. Now, he doesn't have Indom, and he's 6 clicks deep at 120 points. And a lot of people would say, hey, Dark Logos, is this really worth it? And I'm like, yes, it is for a couple of reasons. Number 1, Batman Ally for your wild cards. Outsiders, because remember what I talked about like a couple of episodes back, how people blindly just like saying like, hey, Nighthawk Prime, solve all my stat mod problems. But a majority of the time, you're only looking at 1 figure at a time. So you're looking, just using an Outsiders again at 10 range is stupid strong. And you're like, yep, no, homie, I get wherever I need to get, and you have Outsiders. So no stat mods for you. Then, on top of that, he has my team to handle what the league won't. Once per turn, when a friendly character within 6 squares uses the Outsiders team ability, that character can immediately use Outwit, which includes himself. because it says just a friendly. It doesn't say another friendly character. It just says a friendly character, but only to target the opposing character targeted for the outsider's team ability. Now, does this figure put Krang on notice? No, it doesn't. But what this figure does do is he creates a situation where a lot of figures that I feel that are going to be coming out in the future that have some degree of stat pumps, or they have the ability to, just make themselves a little bit stronger, based off of certain conditions, can't follow through those conditions. Okay? And that's really where the big deal starts to come in. The 5 range makes sure that you have to go into some degree of risk, but functionally, they gave Batman a 10 range outwit. And I don't think anybody really is talking about that this Batman has a 10 range outwit, which we haven't seen in a long time. Long time. So this does up his value. Then you go on to his little special power. He has his whole entire dial, analytical mind, and utility belt. And I think this is a more toned down, more appropriate version of a utility belt. And it says give Batman a free action and choose one: energy explosion, force blast, incapacitate, precision strike, or willpower. That is legit. You're not paying for willpower unless you're going to use willpower. You're not fully paying for Force Blast since you're going to use Force Blast. Yes, there's going to be some inflation for, being able to pick, but at the same time, you're not constantly paying for something that you're not using. Like, one thing about Indom and Willpower is on your turns in which you have no tokens, you're paying for something that you're not using. You're always using your damage reduction. You're always using your stat modifications. You're not always using Willpower. So I find that as a breath of fresh air to say, like, hey, this character doesn't have willpower. That's fine. But we average out the cost value between 3 or 4 other powers. And then we're like, bam, here you go. You can have this the whole dial. So you can say I have whole dial willpower, or, just because the situation changes, like, hey, I have full dial precision strike. I'm glad he doesn't have full dial psychic blast as well. That would have been OP. But I like that. And then he can use this power until he chooses again. So you can pick at the beginning of every turn, or you just pick it in the middle of the turn. So let's just say, like, I start off my turn and, like, I have the energy explosion. Boom, I do what I need to do with the energy explosion. Then I'm like, oh, man, he's probably going to end cap me because I'm out in the open. I had picked the energy explosion last turn. Now let me pick willpower. Boom, now I got willpower. So there's lots of cool stuff I like with that Batman. Top tier meta Batman call in, I doubt it. Just for the pure fact that Trinity War Bats is still broken strong. But when Trinity War Bats retires, this is really legit. I mean, it's really super legit. Oh man. Moving on, Red Hood. Why am I going to bring up Red Hood? Red Hood, for functionally 70 points and 6 clicks, is probably one of the best attackers on his first click that you're going to get in this set. 6 range, running shot, 11 attack, precision strike, 17 energy shield deflection, and shape change. No willpower. You never really want to push him, but that's a very, very, very solid secondary attacker. Okay, like, there's not that many in that camp. Okay, that you could just say, oh, hey, I can fully understand you spending 70 points on a way better, farther range, higher damage outputting figure, for around 5 to 6 clicks of health. I can't see that. So, all right, let's move on. Now, some people say, like, Harley Quinn, 35 points, kawaii, it's like, nah, this is bad. This is just bad. Oh. Tattooed Man makes my heart cry. He just makes my heart cry. And, yeah, it's just horrible. Okay. Here we go. Now, I'm covering this because I know someone's going to ask me, what about Ra's al Ghul? Okay. And I know Someone's going to be like, but Ra's al Ghul, he's the best. You put a combat reflex in on him, and he's a 20 defense no matter what. And then, you know, you can have the Lazarus Pit, and then you can be boss, and you can take on plasticity and shape change and everything because he's the best. So let's look at him. I think that Ra's al Ghul is overcosted. I think that he is a huge liability, and I think that he is not the best figure, one of the best figures in the set. Now, with that being said, I also must disclose I lost to somebody playing a Ra's al Ghul figure, so this is not just me being bitter. Okay, so let's break it down. First off, he's improved movement hindering, so he can just sort of sashay through all that hindering terrain that's on the field. So he can just sort of creep up on people, all right? He has a Batman enemy team ability and a calculator team ability, which is really only good if he has a Batman on the field, so that he can copy Batman team ability, so he is stealth. Again, why I'm saying like this is not the best figure. Then you have Lazarus Pit, which is during the place objects phase of setup. You don't have to, place a Lazarus Pit special marker as described on this card in an unoccupied square, at least 6 squares from any starting area. Okay, cool. Then you have the Lazarus Pit. It says when any character occupies the square, any character, friendly or opposing, this is a key thing, you may give that character a power action roll d6. When you do, heal the character equal to the result. Remove the Lazarus Pit from the map, and the character possesses Battle Fury for the rest of the game. Now, why is this huge? Because if you see you're dealing with a ton of shape change, and you already have a melee option or a hypersonic speed melee option, you can just be like, bam, at the beginning of the game, roll for it, you heal for it, doesn't matter, and then now you have Battle Fury as you sling, you know, the Flash across the map, and he goes and smacks people through their shape change, which is a legit strategy, which you're also paying 140 points to get. All right, so there you go. Also, your opponent can, you know, roll up there and take it from you. So that's another thing. All right, so his movement special power is that Ra's al Ghul can use charge and flurry, and that's really nice because it allows him, with his wonderful 12 attack up front, to charge flurry blades. But with 3 damage, that's really not the best deal. Then he has the I Train the Bat damage powers that he can use Outwit, and opposing characters within 6 squares can't use the Batman ally team ability, which is very limited because there's other things that have stealth. So it would have been better if he said, hey man, you can't use stealth. So he's very technically designed to shut down Batman. And if he ever takes a hit, he comes back super crazy with the Lazarus Pit, and that's your one chance to heal him, and he does it all again. But at the same time, now you have Battle Fury, so those 2 clicks that you have of running shot are completely pointless. Do you see why this figure is not good? There's too many things in the setup that do not work themselves out. 12 attack, 3 damage, blades, I'm more likely going to just go ahead and spin a perplex, up my damage so I know that I'm doing a consistent 4 rather than risking to try to get a 4, 5, or 6. You know, you're at a 50-50 chance of getting, lower damage. So I don't like it. But again, some people, they might find some way in the future magically to make this work. And if you do, props to you. I didn't see future character XYZ man who was able to copy all the powers of, Ra's al Ghul, and he's 30 points and, whatever. All right. So let's talk about one of the most broken dudes in the set, the Atom. 25 points, sidestep, CCE, 10 attack, 3 damage. That's it. For 25 points, and he's 4 clicks. So he's beating out most of the 25-point characters in terms of life. He has combat reflexes. Plus, he's a JSA, which I don't even know how he was able to afford that. Unless JSA is hella cheap, which I doubt it is. and he has All-Star Squadron, Justice Society, Past, and Soldier keywords. So he's really not lacking for decent keywords. Yeah. Yeah, like, this dude is broke. You spam a couple of these guys on a team and just pray your opponent doesn't have energy explosion. And if you have a high mobility taxi and some decent ranged attacker, you can really put some pressure on. Because your opponent's going to be like, I'm going to take out this ranged attacker. And then, boom, you got the atoms landing on top of you with combat reflexes at a 19D. And they could potentially just go, the first one be like, yeah, man, I'm going to hit, and I'll hit you for 3. You roll impervious, impervious fails, boom, knock you on invul. Second one's like, yeah, man, I'm going to be 11 attack, 4 damage. Boom, hit you for 2. You're still on invul. And second one's like, yeah, man, you're a 16 defense. I'm going to hit you for 5 damage. Boom. And it's like, well, my guy's trash now. You know, like, so there's too much. There's too much here to ignore. Multiplicity of these things is broken. All right. And even worse, the Atom can summon the Atom Colossal Retaliator. He's like, yo, man, you want to check something out? You know, Heart of the Cards, Yu-Gi-Oh!, Other Dimensional Summon, myself. Boom. Here you go. So, yeah. And I know it's not actually Al Pratt from Earth 2, so I know that. So, hey. Anyway. Let's go. Manhunters. Because robot-themed teams just needed something else. And the main reason I point these out is that there's 7 range, which is higher than your other, Ultron drones. And if you get an Ultron 18.2 to give yourself enhancement, now all of a sudden you have Manhunters with sidestep, 11 attack, and 3 damage. And that could be really scary. So, Manhunters. Good stuff. Then you have Manhunter Prime, which I'm sort of mixed reviewed on, but let's go into them. First off, Suicide Squad keyword. Suicide Squad keyword, police keyword, Suicide Squad team ability, so that's some good stuff. Charge, 10 attack, 17 defense, 3 damage up front, not the best. He's 6 clicks deep. He goes into shape change for a little bit, combat, and then close combat expert. Keeps that toughness for 4 clicks. Gets pulse wave mid dial, and he has a special power that says line between Fred and foe is blurry sometimes. Give Manhunter a free action to exchange places with an opposing character that has a lower points and is within 5 squares in line of fire. Now, we're going to come back to that. He also has a trait that says public defenders must help everyone. At the beginning of the game, choose public defender or bounty hunter. If you choose public defender, adjacent characters may replace their defense values with 18 when attacked by a character who is not Manhunter. If you choose bounty hunter, modify Manhunter's attack by +1. There is a high reason to pick public defender. Okay? Because you can easily say, like, hey, I have an 18 while I'm next to him, then replace, then I can add modifiers on top of that. So now I'm like, a 20 or 21. All right? And then when you need to heal them or do anything else, they go back to their base values. Okay? So the other cool thing is, and this is the weird part, Manhunter doesn't have to be on an 18 click. He only has 1 click of 18. Alright. And here's another actually really, really dumb thing, and I don't think WizKids thought about this. So you have a character who has defend, who has like a 16 defend or something like that. Then that character is adjacent to Manhunter, and then that gives an 18 defend to that character that has defend, which then also goes back on top of Manhunter. You see how that went? Yeah. So overall, like the part I don't like is that the +1 attack is pointless because you're talking 11 attack, 11 attack, 10, 10, 10, 10. That's crap. Now, if you came back and told me like I got +2 attack, then yes, that's something to actually consider. But a +1 is nothing, absolutely nothing when you're looking at the base stats of Manhunter. So this is shenanigan land. Really, 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 really good shenanigan land. If you know how to play this and do it just right, Manhunter Prime can be extremely annoying to you and yours and everyone this Merry Christmas. Yeah. All right. Next up is Technocrat. Played this guy. He got my note real quick. My notice real quick. First off, he has improved targeting, ignores elevation, which really a lot of people was like, is that good? Is that just, I mean, is he trying to fight Nick Fury? He doesn't have improved targeting, ignores hindering. You know, I fully understand. Fully understand. Okay, then you have Skyline targeting microbots. Okay, when Technocrat makes a ranged attack targeting a single character, which he only has one target anyway, increase his damage value by +1 for every 2 squares away the target is from Technocrat. All right, now people, this is where things get really, really fun. Okay, so for every 2 squares means that he can up his damage by 3. And so if you find a way to give him range combat expert sentry and then increase his attack to a 12 or find another way to increase his attack, you want to always just shoot from max range. And when you do, he'll just wreck people for like 6 damage. He also has the Outsiders team ability at 80 points. So if you're like, hey man, I just need a taxi, a secondary attacker, and, you know, little light, you know, stat control support, there you go. Technocrat is your man. Because he's really, really solid. He's a really good support attacker. He's different than Black Lightning because he does not provide control. But he's a little bit better because he's deeper than Black Lightning. Okay? So there is an advantage there. The stats are also a little bit better across the board as well. So then you have a special damage power. It says need to run the numbers, give Technocrat a power action and choose Outwit or Perplex. Technocrat can use a chosen power until he uses this power again or takes damage. So there you go. Not bad. Not bad. So he's really good utility. I think there's some cool stuff there with Technocrat. All right. So let's move on down the line. Bronze Tiger, bringing out that awesomeness. Black History Month is going to be good this year. Black History Month, heroclix. My goal is to bring Roni KJS on. We're going to debate and talk about Black History Month team. All right, pretty much, Bronze Tiger just has one simple special power, and it says he can use Charge, Flurry, and Sidestep. And if people don't understand how stupid that is, they never fought against, what was it, not Titania, not her, crap. The one Legion of Supervillains, League of Supervillains chick, I forgot her name. She's technically an ape, but she's not. She looks like a human. She's Giganta. That's it, Giganta. No one fought against Giganta at 100 points, picking up an Ultra Heavy. There's stupidness that can be had. So, Charge Flurry, Blaze Claw's Fang, 60 point. Charge Flurry, Precision Strike with some sidestep. Yeah, man, he's killing Spider-Mans. You know, he's killing standard Spider-Mans, not Hyper Spideys, mind you. He's got a lot of value. And I can definitely see people, like, bringing him in as a secondary attacker. Also, League of Assassins. League of Assassins keyword, man. This guy will be killer. So killer. Okay? Now, some of you might be like, well, why would he be killer? I don't see why. The fact that if any point in time he's on a martial artist team with wild cards, they all can copy League of Assassins. And if there's enough of them, they're going to be like, yeah, we're on indoors, dog. All these walls. Please try. We're going to be on top of you like white on rice before you can do anything. And they're going to melee the fire out of people. Like, I love League of Assassins because it forces people to diversify and not just play range. And I'm about to say something that's going to piss a lot of like hardcore people off. Is this game is no longer a range game. It hasn't been that way for a while. We just continue to play it that way. And I know some people are going to be like, but no, Dark Logos, you got to see, because if you run the numbers, I'm able to shoot you 20 times before you approach me, this, that, and the other. And I'm like, have you not paid attention to the last 3 sets, and even before that, with all the hyper taxis? You can get 1 shot, not 3 shots. You can't dance all over the map. The maps aren't set up for you to utilize your 10 range anymore. Like, this game is a mixed martial art game. You have to have melee, you have to have range, you have to have both options on your field. Okay, you just do. All right, end rant, keep going. Now, here we go. I don't like Robin, but number 27 Robin, but the fact that he could potentially turn into the Red Hood if he would be KO'd is something just worth mentioning. That's something that can really be annoying, and just say to your opponent, you thought you got him, but you didn't. That's it. So let's keep going. Vicky Vale to replace Atomica 2017. That's my vote. Vicky Vale replace Atomica 2017. Get out there and vote. Yeah. So 2 clicks of stealth, full dial willpower, probability control, 25 points. And then she, of course, has, hey, the world needs to know your comment. At the beginning of your turn, you may choose an opposing character within 4 squares in line of fire. And until your next turn, that character's combat values can't be replaced and can't be modified to be higher than its printed values. Now, I think Vicky Vale is the chick that fell in love with the Flash. I think she dated the Flash. I don't remember. Anyway, my DC foo is not that strong. So what we're looking at is a character that has to get on the click 2 to get probability control. Unlike Atomica, who starts off with CSA prob, but you don't have to assign tokens. But Vicky Vale is never, busting the cap in that buttocks, if you know what I mean, with the 8 attack and 1 damage. So, yeah, in a 0 range. But her chance to add in a little bit of control is nice. Not the best, is nice. Having to be able to push 2 click 2 to get your prob early, I'm sorry, adding in Frogman to do that is just a waste of time. So, yeah, I think that this is going to be interesting. And in a rush meta, I still think people are going to favor Atomica over Vicky Vale after Atomica rotates, because this World Championships up next year, 2017, she's going to be retired. So, yep, she's going to be up and out of them. So, yeah, Vicky Vale starts coming back in as your prob, which makes you really wonder is that if they do release somebody that is first click prob, what happens to Vicky Vale? And I really don't know. And the other thing is, we've never seen a reporter come on the scene and actually do the world needs to know in a high level meta game. It just doesn't happen. So it's something to consider. Also, another advantage of Atomica of her being tiny is anyone can carry her. Not anyone can carry Vicky Vale. So her movement being 7 is respectable, but it might actually be a limitation in the long run. All right, here we go. My man Calculator, 50 points. He always, whenever Calculator's in the meta, he always causes problems. In contact with the Calculator, the previous Calculator, yeah, that was some broken stuff. All right, so let's do this. He has a trait. It says criminal contacts, Calculator, and friendly characters within 8 squares are considered to be adjacent for purposes of Batman enemy team ability. Now wait, there's more. When we look at Lady Shiva, that's giving us a 12 attack, that's really useful. Now, please, 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 keep in mind, I'm fully aware of the blah, 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 Batman, like, this is how I kill the bat, Batman enemy swapping attack value stuff. I'm fully aware of that. And I know how that can make it so much easier, okay? But screw that. Screw that right now. Let's just look straight up at Calculator and say, hey, the ability to chain Lady Shiva's attack to somebody else, that's a 100-point combo. Is there 200 more points that we can use, requiring another wild card, mind you? Okay, so that's a base thought. And if that doesn't work in 300, then that's fine. But it sure the heck will work in 500. It will be really, really scary in 500 and higher. Every attacker on your force has a 12 attack minimum. Yeah. So anyway, high level predictions. Calculator can use probability control. There we go. But only to target the opposing character with the highest point value regardless of line of fire. This is really good for dealing with Krang's intent poles, very bad for dealing with Swarm. Because you have the Nick Fury effect, because it only targets the highest point character. Okay? So, there we go. That sucks. But the rest of the Calculator, I think Calculator has a lot of goodness going on. I just think that you really have to, work it and figure out how you're going to combo everything. Oh, man. Two-Face, I don't like you. I don't like you, Two-Face. So, yeah. Keep going, Merlin. And then we're going to wrap up this part 1. Merlin, running shot, 11 attack, 16 defense, 3 damage. He has improved movement, ignores hindering. He has trait duck and cover. When Merlin has 1 or more action tokens, he can use stealth. Does not matter. Does not matter. Because you're always going to be spending points on League of Assassins. Always. Always, always, always. If you play Merlin without League of Assassins ATA, you are dumb. You're dumb. He doesn't need stealth if you have the ATA. So, to me, this is sort of like hedging your bet. So you're like leapfrogging and whatever in between, blocking terrain. But really telling you the truth, man, no. No, man, no. He really didn't need that trait. Okay, then he has the he has a special defense power. Merlin can use combat reflexes when he would be hit by a ranged attack, which he should never be hit by a ranged attack because you pay for League of Assassins. Okay, anyway, you may roll 2d6 and compare your result to your opponent's unmodified attack roll. Okay, unmodified attack roll. If your result is higher, the attack is evaded. Yes, Precision Strike screws on this so hard. I understand, people. But again, you should have League of Assassins ATA on. Duh. Oh, gosh. You cannot play him without that. You cannot. Just, oh, gosh. This is what I want you to do. If you see someone playing him in a non-sealed environment without the ATA, you have full rights to go up to them and say, yo, sir, please reference Dark Logos' set review, episode blankety blank, starting over podcast, and then scroll to the appropriate minutes, and then you will see what you're doing, and he's going to describe it. And you can just point to this moment and saying, you're a noob. You're a noob, 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 noob. Put the freaking ATA on him. All right, now back to a regularly scheduled program. All right, so that's it for part 1. I'm going to go into part 2 here shortly. So what I want you to do is, go to the fridge, make yourself some Scooby snacks, come back and get your heroclix notebook open, and we're going to have a dabadoo time. We're going to have a great old time. Yeah, I know I miss Scooby-Doo and the Flintstones, but it's better than, you meddling kid comments. So, if you're like, man, Dark Logos is like late at night, I'm taking my nap, I'm about to go to bed, I'll check you in the morning, then cool. You can follow me on Twitter at StartOverPod. It came from outer space. Told me, man, the set is full of the little chibis, little chibi people. So small their dials. Like Donald Trump hands. Insert meme here. And you can email me at startingoverpodcast@gmail.com. That's startingoverpodcast@gmail.com if you wish to opine. Keep it piffy, keep it interesting, keep it awesome, baby. And last but not least, if you want to get a Starting Over Podcast t-shirt, you can check out the link below in the description. All right, that is part 1 for Joker's Wild Review, and I will see you in part 2. Ba-doop-boop-ba-doo-doo.